Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Fiat 500. And there's some kind of exciting news for Europeans, not so much for us North Americans, because it more than likely 99.9% won't hit here. But I figured it was kind of interesting news to kind of push forward, to kind of show you what Stellantis is doing to fix some issues that they're having with their portfolio. So back in March 29th of 2024, I posted this article on Mopar Insiders basically saying Fiat is looking to put an internal combustion engine in the Fiat 500e. Now, this car originally launched during the pandemic back in 2021, and the very interesting part was it was launched just as an EV, but Stellantis did say, or if you want to say Fiat did say, that they could put different multi-energy platform like architectures in this thing. Basically, they could put ICE, they could put hybrid or EV in it, but they chose to launch with an EV, and it would seem to be pretty successful at the beginning of the launch. It won several awards. It ended up being the best-selling EV in various countries, and over a couple years, the kind of excitement kind of died down to the point where now we're seeing the Mirafiori plant in Italy kind of come to a pause on a normal basis. So, with that being said, back in 2024, early 2024, we were hearing that, hey, they're going to put a hybrid engine in this thing. And according to suppliers and engineers, they had both said, yes, that's the plans. They had talked it over, and it looked like it was a done deal. So we knew something was coming, okay? Right after that point, we had just got the Fiat 500e here in the States. And right off the bat, it was a slow seller to begin with. For some reason or another, imagine that people weren't excited about a two-seater city car that basically, when I say two-seater, I mean two American people can barely fit in this car. The problem was it was started out at $32,000, which is kind of crazy for a really subcompact car, an A segment car. But the range itself is not that great because the battery pack is very small. So you got about 180 miles of range. But for $32,000, a lot of people weren't stepping up to the plate like Fiat had originally hoped. So unfortunately, just because this vehicle right now is the only Fiat in its lineup, it's no surprise that, honestly, it's not a good seller. So here back in August, this was the second time in a row that the Fiat 500e was the second slowest selling vehicle in the US, back-to-back months. We basically didn't see Fiat import a lot of them after this point. And dealerships, we've seen dealerships in Colorado and stuff like that practically give these things away because they couldn't get rid of them. So it was kind of sad because, again, the Fiat experiment, since what? I would say like 2012, I think it was, that Fiat launched the 500 here in the US, has not worked. So it's been over a decade. And while some vehicles were appealing, like the 500X and the Fiat 124 Spider, sales have never been there, showing that Americans really don't want these Italian cars. However, they still invested in this thing, and it was a slow seller, even here. But in Europe, we're seeing pushbacks against EVs as well. They have the same reason to push back against them. Other than the fact that they have a better infrastructure than we do, they're very pricey. And the point is, this car is $32,000 here. In the UK, in Italy, in other countries around Europe, they're even more expensive. And that's the thing. A lot of people simply can't afford these premium, small, A-segment city cars. So we've seen sales just drop right off. And with that introduction of them announcing, hey, we're looking at basically building a hybrid model, we had seen over and over again that, they're trying to kind of correct the course and offer more options. Now, they invested $140 million to convert the Fiat 500e into a hybrid. So back in May of last year, I posted this. Stellantis was to build the 500 hybrid and the new Compass hybrid at Mirafiori. Now, we know that the Compass is actually going to be built at Melfi, but they're going to expand some of the Compass operations depending on which specific model, it's going to be also built at Mirafiori. So that's news, but they're basically focusing on the Melfi plant right now. However, today, the other day, I should say, after being off for a while, the Mirafiori plant restarted production. And I basically wrote this article on May 9th saying, hey, they started up production again ahead of the 500 hybrid launch. So they had already moved the Maserati vehicles, the Gran Turismo and the Gran Cabrio, to Modena. So those vehicles will be built right side by side with the MC20. So it's supposed to open up some capacity at the plant because they're expecting that the hybrid model will bring about 100,000 units to be built there, where the Fiat 500e is doing about 60,000 units. So it's way off of where they originally had it. So with that being said, they moved the production, opened up room for this new hybrid. Now, today, we're actually getting our first look at the hybrid. And of course, they gave us a bunch of teasers this afternoon. And you can kind of see, obviously, it looks just like a typical Fiat 500, 500e, but they covered up the front because now it's got a functional grille underneath. So we will be seeing that very, very soon because this vehicle is supposed to launch in November. And as we get closer to production, we're going to start seeing mules and stuff run around. But these are the very first pre-production models that have basically been built. And they were built today. So they built a handful of them. These will be test units that we'll see in camouflage and stuff running around the streets of Italy while testing. Now, the very interesting thing is you can see a whole lineup of them here. Okay, they got different trims. They got the red model. They got a whole bunch of different trims here. Okay, but the really cool thing is if we actually got a look on the inside of it, and you can see 6-speed manual transmission. So that's going to be very cool. Again, with the EV, you just had a push button, basically a single speed unit. Now it should bring a lot of fun back into the 500. Now, a lot of people have already reached out to me and asked me, what about the Abarth? Now, Fiat just introduced the 500e Abarth model, and it's supposed to be faster. It's supposed to be way faster than the outgoing model. However, if you're a true driver, you probably want a 6-speed manual like this. So could this spawn something else? I don't know. We know that Stellantis is kind of going back away from EVs. I think this is a good sign for those who, especially in Europe, want an Abarth model. I would ultimately keep my mind open about it, but right now, I don't think it's on the plate just yet. They're going to launch these first and then see how it goes. But again, they've already pre-approved the next generation for 2032. So they got to make these things last for a while. So honestly, in my opinion, if you're looking for an Abarth with a manual transmission and an internal combustion engine, I wouldn't doubt that they put some of the old 695 engines and stuff in these things to make them, more performance for an internal combustion option. I'm sure the EV component's going to be there still, the 500e Abarth, but I'm positive that they're going to be opening this up a little bit more because a lot of people are excited that, hey, they're going to be able to get an internal combustion engine in this car because this car does look pretty good. The problem is it's too expensive as an EV. So hopefully this will cut the cost. Now you can see that they covered up the dash. We're going to see probably some revisions for the dash itself. So unfortunately they teased us, but through this black vinyl, camouflage over the dash. But we do see the screen and stuff like that. So hopefully soon we'll be seeing some other things going on with this vehicle. Again, here's another picture, the 6-speed manual transmission. You can see dash is completely covered, but they give you some teaser shots just to kind of mess with us a little bit. But you can see at least here there's 6 models that they built. So I guarantee we'll see spy images of these things actually running around very, very quickly, probably within the next week. So for those Fiat fans that are out there that do like the 500 and kind of hope for a return of an internal combustion engine here in North America, you probably won't get these because this is a 1-liter 3-cylinder hybrid engine from the last generation Fiat 500. So hopefully they'll look at making an ICE model too, if there's a huge demand for it, which I doubt there will be, but there are some fans that are going to be really pushing for not just a a hybrid, but maybe an internal combustion engine. And they have plenty of internal combustion engines to do it with. The Firefly engines, which are the 4-cylinder small displacement engines, kind of like the 1.3 liter Firefly that was in the Renegade here in North America. The 1.3 liter would be a great engine for this thing. If they can put it in it, it would be awesome because it's got about 180 horsepower, which is more than the 1.4 liter Fire engine that was in the Abarth 500 here originally. So if they could do that, this thing might sell. It might not sell a ton of units, but it might sell something. So they need to do something. If they're planning on keeping this Fiat brand around, they got to do something to expand the lineup here. It's just simple. They have to do something. The problem is, me personally, I think they should axe the Fiat and Alfa Romeo brands and focus on the 4 Chrysler Group core brands. But if you're looking at the dealers, there's about 115, 120 dealers still left here in the US. And basically, I think there's like, I don't know how many are in Canada. There can't be that many. But anyways, let's say there's, 20 or so in Canada. You're looking at about 130 dealers that sell these products. And they sell Alfa Romeo too. So you want to get product into your showroom and sell vehicles. Alfa Romeo last year only sold 8,533 units in the US. And Fiat only sold about 3,500 units. So when you look at that, those aren't impressive numbers. That's less than 12,000 units. And you look at, like, for example, I keep bringing it up, the Chrysler Pacifica that sold almost 120,000 units in the US by itself. You got to do something. So hopefully they'll get the idea of bringing internal combustion back. And maybe we'll see some people that can afford these cars. Basically, they need something. Let's put it this way. Stellantis needs something under $30,000. The Fiat 500 with an internal combustion engine might be something that actually appeals to people and show that, hey, we're going to build affordable cars again, for everybody. Not just Europe, but maybe North America. So this hybrid is the first step of them kind of changing their ways with the car. Will it be here in North America? No. Could a possible internal combustion engine variant make its way? I'm saying with the debut of this, it could happen. So they got to do something. Dealers are begging for new product. The Stelvio for Alfa Romeo is coming out very soon. That was supposed to launch as a BEV only. Now they've said, hey, we're going to a multi-energy, strategy. Fiat is still all electric and they can't sell these cars. So if they're going to do something here for North America, they're going to have to do something like an internal combustion engine. Unfortunately, this hybrid model probably would be underpowered and really wouldn't fit to our regulations here. So with that being said, again, there's a possibility that this opens a door for more models for the Fiat brand. Who knows? So stay tuned. We're going to keep digging into this thing. It's going to be very interesting to watch and see how this thing does in Europe when it launches in November, and see if the sales actually pick up for the Fiat 500, or is this vehicle dead? Because, again, it's still selling, but not selling very well, to the point where they're shutting down production every 2 weeks. And we've seen it in December. It was shut down almost for 2 months in November and December. So tell me what you think. Would you actually be up for an internal combustion 6-speed manual, maybe 150, 180 horsepower little Fiat 500 for under $26,000? Put your comments below. Tell me what you think of this thing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.